of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, "I think it's some kind of like political message." And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
And then what happened?
I got a call from the Secret Service that night asking if I would speak to them about it. Of course. I admire the Secret Service. They're pros. I spoke to them on the phone. Then they asked the next day when I got home, would I be willing to come in and meet them in person at the Washington field office, which, again, I did, and they were pros again.
Between posting the picture and getting a call from the Secret Service, did you have any sort of gut check of like, well, they've audited me in an extraordinary way. I was under investigation for years after he fired me. Did you have any regret about posting the picture?
Well, I regret the distraction and the controversy around it. But again, it's hard to have regret about something that even in hindsight looks to me to be totally innocent for the reasons you said. But yeah, I didn't have a gut check. In the Trump era, I've been investigated a lot, audited a lot. And so it's not my first rodeo. I'm in some strange way the relationship he can't get over. Maybe because I've lived a happy, productive life since leaving. But this has just been a distraction in that life.
Tell us about, take us through all of the ways he sought to investigate you. He's been tweeting about investigating you and prosecuting you, I think, since 2017, shortly after he fired you.
I think that's right. And I intentionally don't keep track of these things, but he has, and I hope no one will, but he has dozens of times called for me to be incarcerated and accused me of all manner of things. And I was investigated repeatedly in a variety of different ways in his first term. I went through the mother of all IRS audits, which cost me thousands of dollars, but I got a $347 refund at the end. Turns out I had overpaid my taxes. But just again and again and again, I really thought that I was done. I was in another life. I was a grandfather and an author wearing, sweaters and jeans. And then I went for a walk on the beach and posted a silly picture of shells that I thought was a clever way to express a political viewpoint. And actually, I still think it is. I don't see it the way some people are still saying it is. But again, I don't want any part of any violence. I've never been associated with violence, and so that's why I took it down. So
your position, even after all of this, the Secret Service calling you and bringing you in for questioning, is that the phrase, the message on the shells, was political speech and is political speech.
Yeah, by somebody. I actually didn't think of it as political speech by me, but I thought, what a clever way to express a political view. The shells were the same color for each of the letters, so different colors for the letters. It took a lot of work. Somebody with artistic flair did that, and I have a hard time believing it was anybody with a dark intention, and it certainly was no dark intention on my part, on my spouse's part.
I have to ask you this. I mean, this cabinet is made up of totally different people. There is someone atop the national intelligence communities who said this.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
So she's the head, she sits atop all of the intelligence agencies in this country. And I wonder what you thought and what you think people around the world thought when they saw that.
I hope people know enough about that particular person that they understand where it's coming from. It says something more depressing about the leadership of our current administration. And I just shrug because that's ridiculous.
Does it make you scared?
No.
Why?
Well, it's not my first rodeo. I would hate something like this, or the audit, or all the investigations, to happen to someone who doesn't have my experience, because I look at it and I think there's another one of those. But when it's one of the real problems we have in this country right now is the use of the president's power aiming at individuals who don't have my background or experience, like a Chris Krebs or any others that have been targeted, law firms being targeted. This is a real problem that people should not look past. My thing, to me, and I hope to everybody else, is just a distraction that goes away in a weekend, but there's something much more important going on here. The use of power to aim at individuals eroding the rule of law.
So that was the top of the country's intelligence agency. She sits atop the head of the CIA and the NSA. The person who sits atop the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, has really refused to do any of Trump's political bidding. Do you worry that the last time you were sort of harassed, people like Bill Barr and Rod Rosenstein were there, and now it's Pam Bondi plus basically everyone who's defended Donald Trump in a criminal context over the last 4 years?
Yes, a very different crew. The last group had people who were flexible but had some institutionalist principles. They all ran for the hills, as you would expect after January 6th, and now it's Four Seasons total landscaping all the way down. So you don't have people who are interested in standing up for institutional values. They work for the president. And that's concerning. It's actually short-sighted for a president to have people around him like that, because he can't look to an institution if the American people start worrying about a set of facts and say they'll handle it in a fair way, because he's made clear now they're all his people.
Do you worry that his people will not treat you fairly now that you're under scrutiny?
Sure, but we live in a reality-based world where people, if they're going to make accusations, have to make them in front of judges, have to put evidence forward, have to swear that things are true. I believe in our judiciary. I believe in that one remaining leg of our three-legged stool. That independent judiciary is alive and well and gives me great comfort.
Is that what you think will backstop whatever comes at you from the Trump Justice Department?
Sure. I wouldn't expect anything to come at me from the shell business, but anything that did come at me, if I get more audits, more investigations, yes. Our saving grace, we still have a leg on our stool. If we lose that, I don't know where we are, but we have judges appointed by all different presidents of different parties who believe in the rule of law. And if you come into their courtroom, heaven help you if you're not telling the truth. That still exists in this country and should be a source of great comfort.
Law firms have not been spared from Trump 2.0. Have you had any trouble getting a lawyer?
No, I have great lawyers because they're my friends who've known me for years know that I'm a knucklehead and I love them, so they will help me. But the law firm business is a serious problem. We've seen law firms knuckle under, and that is a very bad thing. They shouldn't have done that. Now, in fairness, those firms, people shouldn't think of them as lawyers. They're mostly bankers that dominate those big firms. So don't think of it as America's lawyers knuckling under. Think of it as America's bankers knuckling under. But they also they must have never seen a mob movie, because you give the mob a piece of your bar, first thing they do is bring their friends in to drink for free. Then they burn it down for the insurance. They will be sorry they made a deal with this administration.
I have to sneak in a break. I want to turn to the FBI. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have some harsh words for you about damage you've done to the FBI, seeming erasing the 8 years that Christopher Wray actually ran it.